Alright, let's dive into something that's been buzzing in the tech and defense sectors lately. Imagine this, a 150% surge in international subscriptions for a company that's basically blending satellite imagery with AI. Sounds like a sci-fi plot, right? But it's real, and it's happening right now with BlackSky. Here's the kicker, this isn't just about numbers, it's about a massive shift in how governments are thinking about national security. Personally, I think this is a game changer, and here's why. First off, what makes this really interesting is the timing. We're talking about a 150% jump in just one quarter. That's not a gradual climb, it's a rocket launch. And it's not just any quarter, it's the second quarter of 2026. If you take a step back and think about it, this is happening at a time when geopolitical tensions are high, and countries are scrambling to modernize their defense capabilities. BlackSky's Gen 3 satellites aren't just taking pretty pictures from space, they're providing tactical intelligence that governments are willing to pay big bucks for. What this really suggests is that space-based intelligence is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. Now, let's talk about the tech. BlackSky's Gen 3 satellites offer 35cm resolution imagery. That's incredibly detailed, but what's even more impressive is the speed. These satellites can capture and analyze data in real time, or close to it. In my opinion, this is where the AI integration shines. It's not just about collecting data, it's about turning that data into actionable intelligence on the fly. One thing that immediately stands out is how this changes the game for tactical missions. When you're dealing with time-sensitive operations, every second counts. BlackSky's ability to process and deliver intelligence without hours of ground-based processing is a massive advantage. What many people don't realize is that this kind of capability could be the difference between success and failure in critical missions. Another detail I find fascinating is the shift in how governments are approaching space capabilities. Brian O'Toole, BlackSky's CEO, mentioned that sovereign space capabilities are now seen as essential national defense infrastructure, not just an optional investment. This raises a deeper question: are we entering an era where every major nation will have its own dedicated satellite systems? From my perspective, this feels like the next logical step in the evolution of defense strategy. It's not just about having satellites, it's about having the right satellites with the right capabilities. BlackSky's model, where governments can test their technology before committing to a full system, seems like a smart way to reduce risk and uncertainty. Now, let's talk about the revenue side of things. BlackSky hit a $100 million annual revenue run rate for imagery and AI subscriptions. That's huge, but what's even more impressive is that it's all subscription-based. This isn't one-off revenue, it's recurring, predictable income. In my opinion, this is a sign of long-term sustainability. When you have multi-year contracts making up 80% of your backlog, you've got a solid foundation to build on. What this really suggests is that BlackSky isn't just a flash in the pan, they are positioning themselves as a key player in the global defense market. But here's where it gets even more interesting: the international demand is outpacing the US market. O'Toole mentioned that while US opportunities are there, the strongest demand is coming from overseas. This raises a deeper question: are international governments leapfrogging the US in adopting space-based intelligence? Or is the US just taking a more cautious approach? Personally, I think it's a mix of both. International governments might be more agile in adopting new technologies, while the US is likely taking a more deliberate, strategic approach. Either way, it's a trend worth watching. Finally, let's talk about the future. BlackSky plans to have 8 Gen 3 satellites in orbit by the end of 2026, with a long-term goal of 12 to 15 satellites providing hourly revisit services. That's a lot of coverage, and it's going to open up new possibilities for both existing and new customers. What makes this really interesting is the potential for regional coverage and improved latency. As more satellites come online, BlackSky can serve more missions concurrently, which means more revenue and more impact. In my opinion, this is just the beginning. As governments continue to prioritize space-based intelligence, companies like BlackSky are going to play a pivotal role in shaping the future of national defense. So, here's my closing thought: we're witnessing the early stages of a space-based intelligence revolution. It's not just about satellites or AI, it's about how these technologies are transforming the way nations protect themselves. If you take a step back and think about it, this is a fundamental shift in how we approach security. The question is, are we ready for what comes next? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this the future of defense, or just another tech trend? Personally, I think it's much bigger than that.